I was just sitting here looking at my tank after I did my weekly water change this morning. And it's just lovely once the filter has become quiet. Because when I first turn off the filter while I'm doing the water change and then I turn it back on, it takes a while before the filter becomes totally quiet again. Partly because I have to kind of fiddle around with the CO2 reactor because the water from the filter goes first into the CO2 reactor, which sometimes creates an air bubble at the top of the reactor, which has some spinning blades, which is what mixes the CO2. The CO2 goes into the CO2 reactor, and then the reactor kind of chops up the CO2 bubbles before it goes into the aquarium through the output tube. But anyway, it takes a while sometimes for that to get spinning smoothly again and for the little air pocket in the reactor to disappear and the filter to become smooth and quiet. Like right now, you don't hear anything from the filter, my canister filter, which is down below under the tank. But it's totally quiet once it's settled down. So once that happens, it's such a peaceful, and right now you see lots of little micro bubbles and hair algae on the driftwood, which always happens right after I do a water change, and it just disappears in a little bit. But it's so quiet. After I do a water change, that's when I feed the fish. So today I fed them frozen brine shrimp and frozen daphnia, which I think I'll do once a week. But they're all just doing very well. What I've decided to do is on Fridays, I do any trimming. So I usually trim the jungle vel, which within a week gets tall and kind of straggly, reaching the surface of the water. So I've started trimming them on Fridays, and then if I need to trim the dwarf sage, I didn't do that yesterday, but it helps it grow more thick when you trim them close to the substrate. And then manually removing any little bladder snails, which usually I get around 20 or so. The bladder snails aren't bad for the aquarium. They help clean, leftover food and stuff, but I just don't like to see too many of them. And so I just have fed them maybe an hour ago or so, the frozen brine shrimp and frozen daphnia, and now they're just kind of chilling. I'm so glad I got these albino cories. They're so fun. Probably my most fun fish I've ever had, because they're always active. I have 8 of them. 8 albino cories and Gus. Usually Gus, let's see if I can spot Gus, the baby one. He's usually he might be there. No, that doesn't look like him. It looks too big to be him. But usually he's in the jungle val somewhere. when it's not feeding time. When it's feeding time, he comes out to the sand. I'm gonna have the 8 albino quarries, 4 cardinal tetras, 6 harlequin rasboras, and they usually kind of school together, which is cute. 2 otocinclus, 2 or 3. It's hard to tell because they always hide. They're always usually in the back of the tank against the glass or something. 2 mystery snails, which are huge things. 3, I think, pygmy cories, which usually stay in the back, and they're little tiny pygmy catfish. But you don't see them too often, except at feeding time they come to the front. And, oh yeah, and the 3 guppies. These are ones that I've raised when I was raising guppies. They're still surviving, the male guppies. Oh, up top there, that's one of the mystery snails. It's gigantic. Let's see, the other mystery snail is somewhere. Oh, there he is, in the back of the tank, right back there. But it's just so fun to watch them. I must have figured out the sweet spot for this aquarium because everybody is healthy, doing well, no deaths. The plants seem to be doing better. And it's just so beautiful, peaceful to watch it, to look at it. Let me kind of show you the whole view here. I like in the back, I keep forgetting what those plants are called, but those little stem plants with the big leaves in the back, they just kind of keep growing and keep developing roots and kind of spread all over the place. But that, I kind of like how they kind of just spread out and you know, they're just kind of drifting there. And of course I love the jungle vel, so easy to grow. And Anubias. I love Anubias because I super glue them to little pebbles and I can move them around anywhere I want. And so these are the Anubias, the bigger ones. I think they're called Anubias barteri or something like that. Oh, a few weeks ago I got Anubias Nana Petite, which are the tiny ones. And I got 3 of them and stuck them in little nooks and crannies on the driftwood. So there's one, there's another, and there's another. Everything will look better once all the little micro bubbles from the water change dissipate. Oh, another thing that I did, I had right in the center of the clip, you see that kind of driftwood, spiderwood little crook. It's just a little separate piece of spiderwood that I've had ever since I started aquariums. I probably had this one 7 years or so, but I always save the driftwood. And I pulled it out and it's just stuck in the sand there. And I have the rock in front of the base of it and this little Anubias pebble in front of the front end just to kind of hold it. But once driftwood becomes waterlogged, then there's really not much of a problem with it floating or anything. but I just thought it made it a little more interesting, something the fish can swim through. So, all right, but I love this. It's just such a peaceful, beautiful thing to watch.